One, Ms. Bhutto was murdered on the 27th of December 2007 when a 15-and-a-half-year-old suicide bomber detonated his explosives near her vehicle as he was leaving the PPP event in Luakabak. No one believes that this boy acted alone. A range of government officials failed profoundly in their efforts, first, to protect Ms. Bhutto, and second, to investigate with vigor all those responsible for her murder, not only in the execution of the attack, but also in its conception, planning, and financing. Second, responsibility for Ms. Bhutto's security on the day of the assassination rested with the federal government, the government of Punjab, and the Rawalpindi District Police. None of these entities took the necessary measures to respond to the extraordinary, fresh, and urgent security risks that they knew she faced. Third, the federal government and the General Musharraf, although fully aware of and tracking the serious threats to Ms. Bhutto's security, did little more than pass on those threats to her and to provincial authorities, and were not proactive in neutralizing them or ensuring that the security provided was commensurate to the threats. The federal government failed in its primary responsibility to provide effective protection to Ms. Bhutto on her return to Pakistan. Four, the federal government lacked a comprehensive security plan for Ms. Bhutto, relying instead on provincial authorities, but then failed to issue to them the necessary instructions, which they did for two other former prime ministers who belonged to the main political party supporting General Musharraf. Ms. Bhutto's assassination, 5, could have been prevented if the Rawalpindi District Police had taken adequate security measures. The security arrangements for Ms. Bhutto by the Rawalpindi District Police were ineffective and insufficient. 6, the additional security arrangements of the PPP lacked leadership and were inadequate and poorly executed. The Commission recognized the heroism of individual PPP supporters, many of whom sacrificed themselves to protect Ms. Bhutto. However, Ms. Bhutto was left vulnerable in a severely damaged vehicle that was unable to transport her to the hospital by the irresponsible and hasty departure of the bulletproof Mercedes-Benz, which, as the backup vehicle, was an essential part of her convoy. 7, the Rawalpindi District Police's action and omissions in the immediate aftermath of the assassination of Ms. Bhutto, including the hosing down of the crime scene and failure to collect and preserve evidence, inflicted irreparable damage to the investigation. The collection of 23 pieces of evidence was manifestly inadequate in a case that should have resulted in the collection of thousands of pieces of evidence. 8, the deliberate prevention by CPO Saud Aziz of a post-mortem examination of Ms. Bhutto hindered a definite determination of the cause of death. It was patently unrealistic for the CPO to expect that Mr. Zardari would allow an autopsy on his arrival in Pakistan at Shakla Air Base nearly 7 hours after his wife's death and after her remains had been placed in a coffin and brought to the airport. The autopsy should have been carried out at Rawalpindi General Hospital long before Mr. Zardari arrived. 9, the Commission is persuaded that the Rawalpindi Police Chief, Saud Aziz, did not act independently of higher authorities, either in the decision to hose down the crime scene or to impede the post-mortem examination. 10, the government press conference conducted by Brigadier Chima on 28 December 2007, the day after the assassination was ordered by General Musharraf. The government's assertion that Ms. Bhutto's death was caused when she hit her head on the lever of the vehicle's escape hatch, and that Baitullah Maqsood and Al-Qaeda were responsible for the suicide bombers, were made well before any proper investigation had been initiated. This action preempted, prejudiced, and hindered the subsequent investigation. 11, an unequivocal determination as to the cause of and means of Ms. Bhutto's death would have required an autopsy. The Commission has uncovered no new evidence to suggest a gunshot injury to Ms. Bhutto. 12, Ms. Bhutto faced serious threats in Pakistan from a number of sources. These include Al-Qaeda the Taliban and local jihadi groups, and potentially from elements in the Pakistani establishment. Notwithstanding these threats, the investigation into her assassination focused on pursuing lower-level operatives allegedly linked to Baitullah Masood. The Commission finds it disturbing that little was done to investigate Baitullah Masood himself, Al-Qaeda, and any individuals or organizations that might have worked on, supported, or otherwise been involved directly or indirectly in the planning or execution of the assassination. Investigators also dismissed the possibility of involvement by elements of the establishment, including the 3 persons identified by Ms. Bhutto as threats to her in her 16 October 2007 letter to General Musharraf. 13, the investigation was severely hampered by intelligence agencies and other government officials, which impeded an unfettered search for the truth. Despite their explanation to the Commission that they do not have a mandate to conduct criminal investigations, intelligence agencies, including ISI, were present during key points in the police investigation, including the gathering of evidence at the crime scene and the forensic examination of Ms. Bhutto's vehicle, playing a role that the police were reluctant to reveal to the Commission. 14, more broadly, no aspect of the Commission's inquiry was untouched by credible assertions of politicized and clandestine action by the intelligence services, the ISI, military intelligence, and the Intelligence Bureau. On virtually every issue the Commission addressed, intelligence agencies played a very pervasive role, including a central involvement in political negotiations regarding Ms. Bhutto's return to Pakistan and in the conduct of elections. 15, and final, the Commission believes that the failures of the police and other officials to react effectively to Ms. Bhutto's assassination were, in most cases, deliberate. In other cases, the failures were driven by uncertainty in the minds of many officials as to the extent of involvement of intelligence agencies. These officials, in part fearing involvement by others, were unsure of how vigorously they should pursue actions that they knew as professionals they should have taken. To conclude, it remains the responsibility of the Pakistani authorities to do what has yet to be done in the case of the assassination of Ms. Banazir Bhutto. That is to carry out a serious and credible criminal investigation that determines who conceived, planned, financed, and executed this heinous crime, and bring those responsible to justice. Doing so will not repair the irreparable loss that Pakistan and the world has suffered, but it will constitute a major step towards ending impunity for this political crime. Thank you.